Your soul may have signed a contract with this body long before your first breath ever touched the air. Pause on that thought, because if this is true, then your height, your strength, your struggles, even your limitations were not accidents. They were assignments. Across ancient Islamic wisdom and cutting-edge scientific theory, a strange convergence appears. One that suggests life is not randomly distributed, and existence is not rolled like dice. Instead, consciousness may arrive with purpose, choosing the exact vessel needed for a hidden mission. Why do some souls arrive into hardship while others are born into ease? Why do certain bodies carry unusual strengths, sensitivities, or burdens? And why does Islam hint that the soul knows far more before birth than it ever remembers after? Before we continue, tell me, where are you watching from today? Drop it in the comments. If videos like this one resonate with you, hit subscribe, because what you're about to hear may permanently change how you see yourself. Long before modern science began asking questions about consciousness, identity, and purpose, Islam addressed the mystery of existence at its very root. Not just how we live, but why we arrive the way we do. Islam does not treat the human body as a random biological shell. It presents it as an entrusted vessel, shaped by divine wisdom, prepared for a soul that carries responsibility. The Quran describes human creation not as a single moment, but as a carefully staged process. A journey that begins before the physical body even forms. Allah tells us that He fashioned the human being in precise measure, in balance, and in deliberate proportion. Nothing excessive, nothing lacking, every detail intentional. This alone challenges the modern assumption that biology is purely accidental. At the same time, modern science is facing an uncomfortable truth. Consciousness cannot be fully explained by neurons. Awareness does not neatly reduce to electrical impulses. The more neuroscience advances, the more it discovers something strange, something intangible, operating behind the machinery of the brain. Some scientists now openly admit that consciousness behaves like a traveler, not a byproduct. Islam has always known this traveler, calls it the ruh, the soul. And when the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was asked about the nature of the soul, the answer was not a detailed definition, but a boundary. The soul, he explained, belongs to the command of Allah. Limited knowledge was intentional. Mystery was preserved. Islamic scholars across centuries contemplated this mystery. They asked why souls differ so deeply in temperament. Why some are drawn to knowledge, others to sacrifice, others to endurance. Why certain people are tested through the body itself, through illness, strength, beauty, or limitation. These scholars did not see these differences as injustice. They saw alignment. Now, in our modern era, psychology speaks of predispositions. Genetics speaks of coding. Epigenetics speaks of environments activating latent traits. Quantum physics even questions whether time itself moves in one direction. Strangely, all of these ideas echo something Islam has quietly stated all along, that life unfolds according to a wisdom that operates beyond linear time and visible cause. Mysticism within Islam, particularly in spiritual traditions of reflection, suggests something even more profound. That the soul recognizes its path before it walks it. That it accepts its test before it forgets. And that the body it inhabits is not chosen randomly, but matched. This does not mean the soul acts independently of Allah. Rather, it means Allah, in His infinite knowledge, aligns the soul with the exact form, family, era, and circumstances needed for its growth. Nothing more, nothing less. Tonight, we are not exploring fantasy. We are exploring convergence between revelation and research, between faith and modern inquiry, between what Islam has preserved in sacred language and what science is only beginning to articulate. And as we move forward, one question will quietly follow us. What if the body you question every day is the very answer your soul once agreed to? Before the body was ever formed, before bone wrapped itself in flesh, before a name was spoken on earth, Islam tells us that something else already existed. The soul. Silent. Aware. Waiting. The Quran takes us to a moment most people never consider, the moment before human life begins. Allah describes how He gathered the souls of humanity and asked a single, overwhelming question. Am I not your Lord? And every soul responded, Yes, we bear witness. This event is not symbolic poetry. In Islamic theology, it is a real covenant, a memory buried so deep that it survives only as intuition. That moment changes everything, because it suggests that the soul was conscious before the body, aware before biology, responsible before birth. Now pause here. If the soul existed before the body, then the body is not the source of identity. It is the container, the vehicle, and vehicles are selected based on journeys. Islamic scholars reflected deeply on this. They noted that Allah creates bodies with extraordinary diversity, differences in health, appearance, intelligence, resilience, and emotional depth. These differences are not random distributions of matter. They are tools, tests, instruments through which the soul fulfills what it already acknowledged. Modern science, surprisingly, is walking toward the same edge. Neuroscientists can map the brain in astonishing detail, yet they cannot locate the self. No scan reveals where awareness lives. Consciousness observes the brain, but does not appear to be generated by it. This has led some researchers to describe consciousness as non-local, something that interacts with the body rather than emerging from it. Islam never struggled with this idea. The ruh is not bound by physical dimensions. When Allah breathes the soul into the human form, the body becomes alive but not independent. The soul animates it, directs it, and eventually departs from it. Here is where the mystery deepens. Why does one soul enter a body that will know pain early, while another enters one that knows ease? Why are some born with heightened empathy, others with physical strength, others with fragile health but deep perception? Islamic theology answers without hesitation, because tests are tailored. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that the most severely tested people are often the most beloved, not because suffering is virtuous, but because certain souls are capable of carrying heavier meanings. A delicate body may house a resilient soul. A powerful body may restrain arrogance through responsibility. Modern psychology calls this person-environment fit. Epigenetics shows that genes activate based on surroundings, as if the body is waiting for cues it expects. The body behaves like it was prepared for a specific narrative. But Islam goes further. It implies that the soul recognizes the nature of its test before entering it, not with detailed knowledge but with acceptance, submission, trust in Allah's wisdom. Once born, the veil falls, memory is sealed, the mission remains, and suddenly, struggles that felt unfair begin to resemble assignments. The anxiety you carry, the sensitivity you cannot turn off, the strength you never asked for. They may not be flaws. They may be qualifications. But if that is true, then a dangerous question emerges. What happens when a soul forgets why it chose this path? Because in forgetting, frustration grows, identity fractures, purpose blurs. And this is only the beginning. Once the soul enters the body, something extraordinary happens. It forgets. Islam describes this forgetting not as a failure, but as mercy. If humans remembered the full weight of their pre-birth covenant, life would lose its test. Faith would be automatic. Struggle would vanish. And growth would be impossible. So the soul is veiled. Yet traces remain. Why do some children display wisdom beyond experience? Why do certain people feel an unexplainable pull toward prayer, solitude, knowledge, or sacrifice, long before they are taught? Islamic scholars referred to this as fitra, the natural inclination toward truth placed within every soul. It is not learned. It is remembered. Modern science now observes something similar. Studies show that personality traits appear astonishingly early, often before environmental conditioning could explain them. Temperament, empathy, risk aversion, and spiritual sensitivity emerge as if preloaded. The body, it seems, arrives already tuned. Islamic mystics reflected on this tuning. They believed the soul carries a frequency, a disposition shaped by its purpose. The body it enters must be compatible. A soul meant to endure hardship may require a body capable of resilience. A soul meant to guide others may require heightened perception. A soul meant to struggle internally may require a sensitive nervous system. This does not contradict divine decree. It fulfills it. Allah, in His knowledge beyond time, aligns the unseen with the seen, the inner with the outer, the mission with the vessel. Here is where the timeline becomes important. Islam teaches that angels record the destiny of the human being while still in the womb. Lifespan, provision, deeds, final outcome. But destiny in Islam is not mechanical. It is relational. Choices matter. Intentions matter. Effort matters. The body becomes the interface through which destiny unfolds. Now consider a striking scientific parallel. Researchers in psychoneuroimmunology have discovered that the mind directly influences physical health. Belief alters biology. Stress reshapes DNA expression. Hope strengthens immunity. The soul, though unnamed by science, clearly exerts authority over the body. Islam has always framed this as accountability. You are not punished for the body you receive. You are judged by how you navigate it. Some bodies amplify temptation. Some amplify limitation. Some amplify visibility. Each one magnifies a specific test. This explains something many people struggle to accept. Why righteous people face illness. Why spiritual individuals experience intense inner battles. Why outward ease does not always reflect inner peace. The body is not a reward. It is a terrain. And terrains are not chosen for comfort. They are chosen for challenge. Islamic history is filled with figures whose bodies carried contradictions. Scholars with frail health but towering intellect. Warriors with gentleness of heart. Ascetics who lived in obscurity but influenced generations. Their forms did not limit their souls. They shaped them. Here comes the unsettling realization. If the soul accepted its test, and the body was designed to deliver it, then blaming the body misses the point. The struggle is not a mistake. It is the curriculum. Yet most people spend their lives trying to escape the very conditions meant to awaken them. They fight their nature. They resent their limits. They envy other vessels. And in doing so, they delay alignment. But what happens when alignment finally begins? What happens when a soul stops resisting its body and starts understanding it? That question leads us to the most dangerous territory of all. At some point in life, usually in silence, the soul begins to awaken. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but through discomfort. Islam teaches that reminders do not always arrive as words. Sometimes they arrive as pressure, loss, restlessness, a sense that something is missing even when everything appears complete. This is not depression by default. It is often dissonance, the gap between the soul's purpose and the life being lived. The body becomes the messenger, a heart that feels heavy without reason, a mind that refuses to be satisfied by distractions, a body that reacts when the soul is ignored. Modern medicine increasingly recognizes this phenomenon. Chronic stress without external cause, psychosomatic illness, burnout in people who have it all. Science admits something unseen is misaligned, yet struggles to name it. Islam names it clearly. When the soul drifts from its covenant, the body speaks. The Quran describes hearts that are alive and hearts that are sealed. This is not metaphor alone. It is experiential reality. A person may be physically healthy yet spiritually numb. Another may be physically weak yet inwardly illuminated. The difference is not circumstance. It is alignment. Here is where Islamic mysticism becomes precise, not poetic. Mystics observed that the soul resists tasks beneath it. A soul meant for depth will suffer in shallow pursuits. A soul meant for service will ache in isolation. A soul meant for patience will be tested through delay. The body, in these cases, acts like an alarm system. Consider how modern neuroscience describes discomfort. When actions conflict with internal values, the brain generates anxiety, cognitive dissonance, physical unease. The system is designed to push the organism back toward coherence. Islam teaches that coherence is submission, not passivity, but alignment with divine will. Now notice something unsettling. The tests intensify when the soul is
Ya
close to
Allah,
awakening.
ease my
People
burden
often
and grant
assume
us
hardship
patience.
means misdirection.
Truly, we belong to
Islam
you,
suggests
and
the
to you
opposite.
we shall
Trials
return.
sharpen near purpose. Pressure increases near truth. The body strains as the soul approaches transformation. Why? Because awakening is not gentle. When a soul begins to remember, not the details of the covenant, but its weight, everything changes. Priorities rearrange. Old identities collapse. Relationships shift. Comfort loses authority. The body feels this first. Sleep patterns change. Appetite fluctuates. Solitude becomes necessary. Science might label this transition as psychological restructuring. Islam frames it as purification. And here is the most important continuity in our timeline. The same soul, the same body, the same test. Nothing new was added. Something was uncovered. Those who respond correctly do not abandon their bodies. They understand them. They stop asking, "Why am I like this?" and begin asking, "What is this asking of me?" This is where prophets, scholars, and seekers converge. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, endured physical hardship, emotional weight, and isolation long before revelation was complete. His body carried the burden of a soul chosen for humanity, not despite its limits, but through them. And this reveals a truth most never reach. The body does not imprison the soul. It reveals it. Every weakness points toward reliance on Allah. Every strength points toward responsibility before Allah. The body is the final filter of the test. And now we arrive at the edge. If the soul accepted its mission, if the body was designed for it, if discomfort is guidance, then the most terrifying realization remains. What if ignoring your body's signals is ignoring divine instruction? Because the final revelation does not ask who you are. It asks whether you listened. There is a moment in every life when all illusions collapse into silence. Not loudly, not publicly, but inwardly. Islam describes this moment as yaqza, awakening. It is not granted to everyone, and it is never accidental. It arrives when the soul is ready to face what it once accepted but has long avoided. Here is the revelation that changes everything. Your soul did not choose this body to experience comfort. It chose it to fulfill meaning. This is why pleasure alone never satisfies. This is why ease without purpose feels hollow. The soul recognizes success not by sensation, but by alignment. When alignment is absent, even luxury feels suffocating. The Quran states that Allah does not burden a soul beyond what it can bear. This verse is often quoted for comfort, but rarely for its implication. It means that every soul is matched precisely with its burden. Not approximately, precisely. That matching requires a specific body, a body capable of carrying that exact weight. Science unintentionally confirms this. Trauma research shows that individuals process hardship differently based on nervous system sensitivity. What overwhelms one person strengthens another. The same event can destroy one soul and refine another. Biology responds according to inner capacity. Islam explains why. Because the soul already knew what it could carry. And here comes the shock. The body you resent may be the evidence of your soul's strength. The sensitivity you curse may be the doorway to perception. The limitations you fight may be the guardrails of humility. The strength you display may be the test of restraint. Allah, in His wisdom, does not send prophets in bodies that crave comfort. He does not assign guides bodies that fear rejection. He does not entrust truth to souls unable to withstand pressure. And He does not place souls randomly. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that souls are like assembled soldiers. Those who recognized each other before will feel familiarity on earth. This suggests continuity beyond the physical realm, recognition beyond memory, meaning the soul arrives not blind, but veiled. Now consider this carefully. If the soul accepted its test before entering time, then free will operates within purpose, not outside it. You are free to resist, free to delay, free to forget, but you are not free from consequence. The body records everything. Stress leaves marks. Resentment stiffens posture. Gratitude softens breath. Even modern medicine admits the body stores experience. Islam says it stores accountability. On the Day of Judgment, the Quran describes a moment when the body will speak. Skin, hands, limbs, testifying, not metaphorically, literally. The vessel becomes the witness. Why? Because the body was present for the entire test. The soul may forget. The body never does. This is the revelation most people are not ready to hear. You are not trapped in the wrong body. You are entrusted with the right one. And the dissatisfaction you feel is not proof of failure. It is proof that your soul remembers more than your mind allows. But this realization carries responsibility. If the body was chosen for purpose, then neglecting that purpose is not neutral. It is avoidance, and avoidance has weight. Yet Allah's mercy remains vast. The door does not close when you forget. It opens when you return. Return to intention. Return to alignment. Return to submission. Not blind surrender but conscious trust. Because the soul did not choose blindly. Chose with faith. And now, the final question is unavoidable. Will you live as if this life happened to you, or as if it was entrusted to you? When the noise of life fades, when titles lose their weight and appearances no longer impress, one truth remains quietly standing. You are not here by accident. Not in this era. Not in this body. Not with this soul. Islam teaches that Allah is Al-Hakim, the most wise. Wisdom does not create randomly, places deliberately. Every soul is sent into the world with knowledge hidden from memory, but not from reality. The body becomes the stage where that hidden knowledge is tested, not revealed. This is why comparison is spiritually dangerous. When you envy another body, another life, another ease, you are comparing missions, not blessings. You are judging a test you were never assigned. Islam does not ask you to succeed in someone else's life. It asks you to be faithful in yours. The Quran reminds us that this world is a place of examination, not residence. Temporary by design, fragile by intention. The body itself is temporary. It ages, weakens, returns to dust. But the soul continues, and what it carries forward is not appearance, but response. How did you respond to strength? With gratitude or arrogance? How did you respond to limitation? With patience or bitterness? How did you respond to awareness? With humility or denial? These responses shape the soul far more than any physical trait ever could. Science measures life by years and cells. Islam measures it by intention and weight of the heart. One body may live long and leave little behind. Another may live briefly and alter eternity. This is why Islamic spirituality emphasizes niyya, intention, because intention aligns the soul with Allah regardless of the body's condition. A bedridden believer may outrank a powerful one through sincerity alone. When you begin to see your body as an entrusted tool rather than an obstacle, something shifts. Gratitude replaces resentment. Responsibility replaces envy. Purpose replaces confusion. You stop asking, "Why am I like this?" and begin asking, "How do I use this for Allah?" That question transforms struggle into worship. Every breath becomes meaningful. Every limitation becomes a reminder. Every strength becomes an amana, a trust. And in that awareness, humility grows, because you realize you were never meant to understand everything. The unseen remains unseen for a reason. Faith lives where certainty ends. Submission begins where control dissolves. Islam does not remove mystery from existence. It teaches you how to stand before it without fear. So walk gently, judge less, trust more. Your soul knew what it was doing when it arrived here, and Allah knew even more. If this reflection stirred something within you, don't ignore it. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe the soul has a purpose before birth? Your perspective may help someone else find clarity. If you found value in this journey of faith, science, and mystery, subscribe to the channel and stay connected. More reflections like this are coming, and your presence here truly matters.